12 Habits to Rebuild Yourself in 2026. How to Overcome Negative Feelings, ladies and gentlemen. There comes a moment in life when you look at yourself and realize something must change. Not tomorrow, not next month, but now. 2026 is not just another number on a calendar. It is a line in the sand, a divine appointment with your destiny. And the question is not whether the year will change, the question is, will you? There comes a moment, and it is not loud, it is not dramatic, when you realize something painful but powerful. No one is coming to rebuild your life for you. That realization can hurt, because it means you can no longer point at your past and say, "That's why I'm like this." You can no longer point at people who hurt you and say, "They made me this way." You can no longer point at circumstances and say, "If things were different, I would be different." Radical responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything that happened to you. Some of you were betrayed. Some of you were abandoned. Some of you were misunderstood, overlooked, broken by words spoken over you when you were just a child. That was not your fault, but healing from it, rising from it, rebuilding after it, that part is yours. And that is where your power begins. There is something terrifying about radical responsibility. It strips away excuses. It removes the comfort of victimhood. It forces you to look in the mirror, not at your pain, not at your scars, but at your choices. Because while you did not choose every wound, you are choosing your response. You are choosing whether the disappointment defines you. You are choosing whether the failure becomes your identity. You are choosing whether fear gets the final word. Radical responsibility means saying, "The past may explain me, but it will not control me." It means admitting, "Yes, I procrastinated. Yes, I avoided difficult conversations. Yes, I let negative thoughts run wild." And instead of drowning in guilt, you stand up and say, "But I can change." That is power. Many people stay stuck because it feels safer to blame. If it's someone else's fault, then you don't have to risk growth. If it's the economy, your parents, your boss, your partner, then you can remain the same and still feel justified. But growth demands ownership. Ownership of your time, ownership of your habits, ownership of your emotional reactions. When you take radical responsibility, something shifts inside you. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I do about it?" That question changes everything. Instead of replaying the betrayal, you build new boundaries. Instead of replaying the mistake, you develop new discipline. Instead of replaying the rejection, you build new confidence. Responsibility is not punishment. It is freedom. Because the moment you say, "My life is my responsibility," you also say, "My future is in my hands." And yes, it's uncomfortable. It means waking up early when you don't feel like it. It means apologizing when your pride wants silence. It means choosing healing when bitterness feels justified. But here is the truth. The version of you that you want to become is waiting on the other side of responsibility. No rebuilding happens without it. Not confidence, not discipline, not emotional strength. If you want 2026 to be different, you must be different. And being different begins with a decision, a quiet, firm, unshakable decision, that from this moment forward, you will no longer give your power away. You will not let your past own you. You will not let your emotions rule you. You will not let excuses comfort you. You will take responsibility, And in that decision, you will discover something life-changing. You are not as powerless as you thought. You never were. There is a war happening inside you that no one else can see. You can be smiling in a room full of people and still feel like you're losing on the inside. You can be successful on paper and still feel insecure in your own thoughts. You can be surrounded by love and still battle loneliness in your mind. The inner battlefield is real, and the hardest battles are not fought with other people. They are fought within yourself. Negative feelings don't usually knock on the door politely. They invade quietly, repeatedly. A single thought becomes a narrative. A mistake becomes a label. A delay becomes "I'm falling behind." And before you realize it, you are not just feeling doubt, you are living inside it. But here is the truth most people don't tell you. The battlefield is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that something valuable is inside you. No one fights over empty land. The reason fear attacks you is because you carry potential. The reason insecurity whispers to you is because you are capable of more. The reason anxiety tightens your chest is because your life matters. But you must learn how to fight the right enemy. The enemy is not the feeling itself. Fear is a signal. Sadness is a signal. Anger is a signal. They are messengers, not masters. The real danger begins when you let those feelings define who you are. I feel like a failure becomes I am a failure. I feel alone becomes I will always be alone. I feel behind becomes it's too late for me. That is where the battlefield turns dangerous, when feelings become identity. You must learn to separate the two. You are not your thoughts. You are not your worst moment. You are not your current emotion. Emotions are waves. They rise, they crash, they pass. But if you build your house on a wave, you will always feel unstable. The inner battlefield requires awareness. You cannot defeat what you refuse to confront. Many people distract themselves endlessly, scrolling, watching, overworking, just to avoid sitting alone with their thoughts. Silence scares them because in silence, the battle becomes loud, but avoidance strengthens the enemy. Courage is sitting with yourself and saying, "Why am I feeling this?" Courage is admitting, "I am insecure about this area of my life." Courage is recognizing patterns, the self-sabotage, the overthinking, the fear of rejection. When you shine light on it, it loses power. And here is something powerful. You don't win this war in one dramatic moment. You win it in small, quiet decisions. You win when you replace one destructive thought with a truthful one. You win when you choose to act despite fear. You win when you refuse to replay the same negative story in your mind. The battlefield may never completely disappear. There will always be moments of doubt, but you can become stronger than the doubt. You can train your mind like a warrior trains for combat. With discipline, with awareness, with intentional thinking, because overcoming negative feelings is not about eliminating emotion. It is about mastering it. You may feel fear, but you move forward anyway. You may feel unworthy, but you show up anyway. You may feel uncertain, but you take the step anyway. That is victory. And one day you will look back and realize the battlefield that once terrified you became the place where you built your strength. Not because the war stopped, but because you learned how to fight. There are words you have heard so many times that you no longer question them. You're not smart enough. You always mess things up. People like you don't succeed. It's too late. You'll never change. Maybe no one else says them anymore, but you do. And the most dangerous lies are not the ones shouted at you. They are the ones you whisper to yourself in moments of weakness. Breaking agreement with lies is one of the most painful and powerful things you will ever do, because some of those lies have been with you for years. They feel familiar, almost comfortable. They have shaped your decisions, your relationships, your risks, your silence. You didn't just hear them, you agreed with them. Somewhere along the way, after the rejection, after the failure, after the embarrassment, you made an internal contract. You said, maybe it's true. And once you agree with a lie, you begin to live as if it's reality. If you believe you're not worthy of love, you will tolerate disrespect. If you believe you're destined to fail, you won't try with your full strength. If you believe you're behind in life, you will move with hesitation and fear. The lie doesn't just sit in your mind, it directs your life, and here's the hard truth: not every thought you think is true. Feelings can be loud, thoughts can be convincing, but convincing does not mean correct. You can feel like a failure and still be growing. You can feel forgotten and still be valuable. You can feel weak and still be becoming stronger. The lie usually sounds absolute. Always, never, everyone, no one. It leaves no room for hope, no room for growth, no room for redemption. But truth is different. Truth leaves space. Truth says you made a mistake, but you are not the mistake. Truth says you are learning. Truth says you are unfinished. Breaking agreement with lies means catching the thought in the moment and confronting it. When your mind says you'll never succeed, you pause and ask, is that a fact or is that fear? When your heart says you're unlovable, you challenge it. Who decided that? One person, one moment. You must become aware of the contracts you signed in pain. Maybe you failed once, and you signed the contract, I'm bad at this. Maybe someone walked away, and you signed, I'm not enough. Maybe you were compared constantly, and you signed, I'll never measure up. But here is the powerful part: agreements can be broken. You are not legally bound to a lie. It may feel strange at first to reject it. It may feel uncomfortable to speak truth over yourself. But rebuilding begins here, in the quiet space where you decide what you will and will not believe about your own life. You cannot rise higher than your beliefs. If your beliefs are broken, your confidence will be fragile. If your beliefs are poisoned, your future will feel limited. So tear up the contract. Refuse to let one chapter define the whole story. Refuse to let someone else's opinion become your identity. Refuse to let temporary emotions write permanent conclusions. You are not who you were at your lowest moment. You are not the worst thing that happened to you. You are not the label that was placed on you. When you break agreement with lies, you create space for truth. And truth does something lies never can. It strengthens you without enslaving you. And that is where rebuilding truly begins. We often wait for a dramatic moment to change our lives. A breakthrough, a miracle, a sudden wave of motivation that transforms everything overnight. But rebuilding doesn't happen in explosions. It happens in repetition. Daily habits shape destiny, not because they are exciting, but because they are consistent. And consistency, though quiet, is powerful beyond imagination. Most people underestimate the small things. They think it's just one day. It's just one skipped workout. It's just one negative thought. It's just 1 hour wasted. But life is not built in years. It is built in days, and days are built in habits. Your habits are forming you even when you don't notice. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you give in to distraction instead of focus, you are casting a vote for the person you don't want to remain. Destiny is not a mystery. It is a pattern. If you wake up every day feeding your mind negativity, your future will feel heavy. If you wake up every day strengthening your discipline, your future will feel powerful. The truth is hard, motivation fades. Emotions shift. Some mornings you will not feel inspired. Some days you will feel tired, unappreciated, unseen. But habits do not depend on feelings. That's what makes them sacred. When you build strong daily habits, you are telling yourself something important. I show up even when I don't feel like it. And every time you show up for yourself, your self-respect grows. Confidence does not come from affirmations alone. It comes from evidence. When you keep promises to yourself, small promises, your mind begins to trust you. If you say you will wake up early and you do, trust grows. If you say you will finish what you started and you do, trust grows. If you say you will control your reactions and you try, trust grows. And that trust becomes inner strength. Rebuilding yourself in 2026 will not depend on one powerful speech, one emotional decision, or one bold declaration. It will depend on what you do tomorrow morning, and the morning after that, and the one after that. Small daily wins may seem insignificant: making your bed, drinking water instead of soda, reading instead of scrolling, practicing instead of procrastinating. But small disciplines create emotional stability. They create momentum, and momentum builds belief. You don't suddenly become disciplined. You practice discipline daily. You don't suddenly become confident. You practice courage daily. You don't suddenly overcome negativity. You practice redirecting your thoughts daily. There will be days you fail, days you fall back into old habits, days you feel like giving up. That doesn't mean you are not rebuilding. It means you are human. The key is not perfection. The key is return. Return to the habit. Return to the routine. Return to the commitment. Because